All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday to you. As the guy who is never good at time zones, I still know that for the most part, it's morning for almost all of you, except for a couple of you that might be in Ireland. I think there's somebody in the Philippines. I don't know what day it is, but for the rest of you guys, it's good to see you on a Tuesday morning. And we're here today with our friend Emily, who is right there. And we are so glad to talk to you and to spend some time with her. This morning, I've also got my co-host here, Tabitha, right here next to me, and she's going to be helping us have this conversation with Emily. It's going to be fantastic. And if you are coming to the conference in August, you're going to have such a good time. And the things that Emily's going to teach us are going to be absolutely powerful. It's going to change your month. Hopefully, it's going to change the rest of your year. And today, she's going to spend a little bit of time with us, giving us a little bit of teaser for that. But even if you're not coming to the conference, you're still going to get a huge amount of value out of this time. So I'm glad everybody's here. If you have to leave early for work or if you have to come late, no problem. You can watch this on demand anytime you want on YouTube, on Facebook. I believe it's also even going to be on Emily's YouTube, I think. We're going to see if that's going to be there as well. But either way, we will make sure that it's all those places for you, wherever you need it. And we're going to have a great time talking to her. So as we get started, Emily, I don't want to assume that everybody knows who you are, although I'd be surprised if they didn't at this point. But I want to just start and end by telling them how to find you. So I'm going to put your website up on the screen here. It's thatmomwithalaser.co. And that's a place where they can find you everywhere. They can find your Facebook, your Instagram, your YouTube links, and all the things that you do. So everybody, if you haven't found her yet, find her there and then go follow her, I don't know, everywhere.
So Emily, I usually tell people, what's your pleasure? If whatever platform you're on, you prefer, I'll be there. Just find me there.
I love it. It's such a pleasure to have you here. I want to just start out. You gave us such a great teaser for today, and I loved it so much. And I just want to start out by reading it to everybody, and then I'll ask you a question about it before we kind of get into the rest of our content. So here's what you sent us, and I love it. You said, saturated, schmatrated. The market only feels crowded if you blend in. And you said you're going to share a few simple shifts that we can make to stand out and to start building a brand that customers connect with and come back for. We're going to cover the power of showing up as you, turning trust into loyalty, and why copycats will never outshine the original. God, that was... I'm ready to run through a wall. Like Will says all the time, I'm ready to run through a wall now just because of that teaser. It was so good. But let me start by asking you this question. You said that the market only feels crowded if you blend in. And before we dive into everything else, can you talk about that a little bit? What does blending in look like to you? Have you, Emily, have you ever struggled with blending in? I know you're going to teach us a few things here in just a minute that's related to that, but can you tell us a little bit about your journey? And if you've ever struggled with blending in, can you tell us what that was like for you?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. I see a couple of you in the chat. Danny, Janet, welcome. Blending in and how things got started for me. I started, for those of you that don't know my story, I was a stay-at-home mom, desperate to continue staying home. I had 3 small babies at the time. 6 months old, 2 years old, and 4 years old. And I really just wanted to make an extra $500 a month so I could stay home with them. And that's where the lasers came into my life and everything started to change. I think all of us go through this. We all feel like we're not seen or we're not being seen, not just with, our products, but also with our business that we're trying to get out there. And especially when you join the laser world, you start to get into all the different communities and you start to get really connected so that you can learn, right? And you can learn with your laser business. And what starts to happen, the algorithm starts to know that you are seeking out connections and content around lasers and laser products, right? So next thing you know, you see it on your feed all the time and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like it's everywhere. And this is why this topic of, I tell you, when you told me saturated, I'm like, saturated, schmatrated. You have to get that out of your head. Because one, you have now told the algorithm, this is what I do. Okay. And the algorithm is now showing you everything that you do and everything that everybody else does. And it can be very easy to very quickly feel insignificant
Yeah.
and like you're not seen. And you need to make money. You need to get your product seen, right? So that's kind of what I mean when I talk about feeling like you're blending in and finding your path so that you can stand out amongst the crowd.
That's great. That's great. I know for me, maybe both of us kind of started our journeys a little bit different, but just kind of following up on that for a minute. I know I'll use an analogy for me and working in a church in the past. I know years ago, I would hear other speakers that I really enjoyed. And I think this
Mhm.
applies to us in the laser world, where we'll see people in the laser world that we really enjoy what they do.
Yeah.
And I know for me, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this speaker's style. I
Mhm.
learned from this speaker really well. And I just naturally, I didn't do it on purpose necessarily. Yeah, actually, I did do it on purpose. I tried to speak like them.
Yeah.
And it took me a while. It was hard. And it took me a while to realize that's just not me. That it's not me. And it was a little awkward. And over the years, I started finding my own voice and learning who Mark is. And I got
Mhm.
a whole lot better when
Yeah.
I stopped trying to be that guy or that girl and became me. I don't know if you can relate to that in your journey at all or not.
Oh, we all do. I think everybody
Yeah.
listening and everybody watching has been in that space, right? Because you see somebody who's doing something great and they're doing something successful. So, we often say you want to emulate or model after people that are doing the thing, right? They're living the life that you
Yeah.
want to live, right? I often tell people, oh gosh, when you when you buy people's opinions, you buy their lifestyle, right? So
Mm,
if you're sucking me in, right, there's something about what you're doing in your life that really resonates with me, right? So it's only natural for us to kind of want to model after that kind of success, right? But then in the process, you start to feel like you're not authentic and you're not yourself. And
mm,
over time, that resonates through a screen, it resonates through an ad, it resonates in everything that you're doing in your business. And so the longer I'm consistent with what I'm doing, the more I appreciate and value my authentic self and my
yeah.
authentic brand, because I can see how my consistency over time is what's helped me is what's helped me on my path to success in my business and in my endeavors. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
It, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Oh, when I'm thinking, gosh, now my brain's firing off on all these things you just said, right? Is, do you feel, I know I feel like as I learn more Mark's voice, not someone else's, but me, I'm finding that it's less, I don't know about less work is the right word. It's easier to
Yeah.
be me than it is to be
Mhm.
someone else. And that sounds kind of ridiculous because of course that sounds self-evident. Of course it's easier to be you, but as I just naturally am who I am, it doesn't take as much effort to be that. I don't know if
Right.
that makes sense or not, but when
No,
I'm
no, no.
trying to be someone else, it's harder work.
Right. It's all about consistency though, right?
Yeah.
Because the more consistent you are and the longer you stay in the game, even in those moments when you feel like you've blended in and you can't be seen, we all go through that. Okay?
Yeah.
The difference is those of us who are able to go past those moments where you feel like you've been blending in, that will keep you consistent, and over time you will discover what you and I, Mark, are just talking about is nobody can copy what Mark really is,
Yeah.
you know and that's going to come through in your business and your branding. So early on, when I was feeling like that, like I was just another laser cut ornament, or you know what it was like, I wasn't really feeling very special. I started to think about, well, I always tell this to people, do you ever experience something called analysis paralysis?
Yes.
You see other businesses, they're doing their branding is perfection, everything
Yeah.
looks nice and neat and it looks so good, and their delivery is so good, and you're just like, oh, I can't, I have none of those skills. There's no way I can look that good or make my product that great. And at some point I just had to give up on this idea of everything being perfect, because you don't want to get analysis paralysis to the point where you don't take action and you don't do anything. And
Mm,
so early on, I wasn't that mom with a laser. I actually just started with a very simple name. I was Designs by MEB. And I didn't have the perfect logo, and I didn't have the perfect fonts or colors. I didn't even have colors. It was black and white. That was, I wanted it to be engravable, so I didn't need color. But anyhow, I don't want to digress. My point is the more I started to not focus on, basically I started to focus on connection and not perfection.
That's so good.
Through that experience, I found that I don't have to have the perfect brand. I don't even have to have the perfect products, but I can have a very, very good connection with the customers that I am getting. Because when you can connect with the customer, your brand it's not the font, it's not the logo, it's none of those things. It's how you make people feel. Am I getting ahead of myself? Sorry.
Well, in fact, I'm gonna let you not steal your own thunder here, because this is all so good, so rich. You gave us 3 questions or statements that we can kind of walk through that I think are all great. And I'm going to let Tabitha start with the first one.
Okay.
And we're going to read these back to you and just let you talk to us about them. So Tabitha, take the first one away.
Yeah, they were all so good. So for the first point, you said your brand isn't your logo. It's how people feel when they experience your business.
Yeah.
So let's start with something that a lot of makers believe in, that your brand is your logo, and just putting it on everything is going to, make your business successful. You say it's actually about how people feel. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, this is going into what I'm talking about here. Like I didn't have a brand in the beginning. I mean, I thought I did. I was trying, based off of I was a clean slate. I knew nothing about building a business and branding, all that stuff, but I knew I needed to have a business name, But over time, that really wasn't my brand. It wasn't Designs by MEB. It wasn't anything other than how I was making people feel with the products I was making and the customer service that I was providing. Okay. Because then when I wanted to rebrand as that mom with a laser, it didn't matter, because they were connected to the services and the feeling that I created for them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so if you're feeling stuck because you don't have a brand, or you're trying to develop a brand, that will come. I would focus on the things that is going to help your business grow. One of the main things I'm talking about here is that connection that you're able to build with the customers that you're getting. Even if you only have a handful, make your connection with those customers so impactful, but that they can't help but want to come back to you and refer business to you.
So if somebody's wanting to improve on that emotional connection, where can they start?
It starts from the very beginning, the very beginning of the touch point with the customer. So, if they comment on your product, let's say on your social media feed or wherever, and they're saying, "Oh my gosh, that is so cute." Well, what else can you say beyond thank you? So I'll give you an example, like these little lightning bug earrings that I made, right? I love them so much because they reminded me of my childhood in Georgia. And every summer we would go there and we would catch lightning bugs, right? So when people are saying, "Oh my gosh, that is so cute," I say, "Thank you so much. It reminds me of my childhood." It brings back positive memories of my childhood. And then all of a sudden I've sparked a conversation with a total stranger, Little things like that from the very beginning. How can you go above and beyond the standard experience?
No, that's great. And that might be something they're connecting with, is maybe they had that same kind of childhood connection as well.
Yeah. Like, why did the person say that's so cute? Do you think of really, do you have fond memories of lightning bugs when you see this? Because I do,
Yeah.
That's really great.
Yeah. And is there an example you have from your own journey, or someone that you've worked with, where a simple shift in how they showed up made a big difference in how people responded?
Oh yeah, all the time. And I'm trying to do that all the time with my business still today. What are ways that I can stand out, right? So that I'm not blending in. For example, I'll go back to earrings. One of my best sellers are pet earrings, where people send me their pets, and I print it onto acrylic, and then I cut it with the laser and I send it off. But what I found when I first started selling them, I was like, "Oh gosh, this is a great product," right? People love them. But I found that a lot of people were sending me photos. See, I don't want to get sad. It's so sad. But a lot of people send me photos of their pets that have passed. and they'll order them as gifts for friends who love their pets. I'm like, oh my gosh, it is so sad. So when you get those messages, I'm going above and beyond just saying, thank you so much. This is a great photo. We're going to process it and get it out to you as soon as possible. Now I'm adding a connection here. I'm so sorry for your loss. What a precious pup. And now I'm developing little little cards with a sweet message. So if I know that they have ordered this because it's a pet that has passed away, I don't have to, it's more from, it's more costs, right? So to speak, because I'm going to order these nice little cards, but I'm going to put something in there that's a thoughtful message that, something sweet about pets and what they do for our lives. How can I stand out and be different? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Now, on that
It's
note,
so
did you
good.
just start out with like a handwritten note for the first couple?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And in the beginning, it depends how busy I am, right? Because sometimes we get a ton of these orders. So at least when I'm communicating with them, when they send me their photo, I am, connecting with them on that level. But yeah, handwritten notes go far, but they're also, when your business starts to grow, they're also very hard to keep up with. So that's why I'm going to have special cards that I can quickly put in there and let them know, we hope that this will.
I want to just touch also again on this. The point we started with was your brand isn't your logo. It's how they feel about when they experience you. And when I think about myself and my experience, and also the other brands that I experience in the world, I think about mine. And for anybody who knows me, my company name is Big Blue Laser Designs. But the funny part is, I don't actually love that name. I want to change it, but it's been connected to me for long enough that let me see if I can express this clearly. People don't, for people who do love me, and by the way, I know everybody doesn't. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I get it, but people don't shop with me because of the name of my company. They shop with me because of how I make them feel. This is the point you're making, right?
Yes.
And I've really tried to lean into how I take care of people, how I communicate with people. And I won't say that my brand doesn't matter at all, because that would be inaccurate. I mean, of course, my logo, sorry, not brand. Logo does matter. But when you think about big companies like Walmart, if I ask you really quick, what is the Walmart logo? Oh my gosh, I think it's that little weird asterisk looking thing, I think. And I go, what does that mean? And you go, I don't know what that means. It's not where like Target. I know, okay, it's a Target. Well, okay,
Yeah.
I got that. But there's some logos out there that I don't think are particularly good at all. And it doesn't matter, because how you feel about Walmart isn't whether if you like them or don't like them, but it's not because of their logo.
Right.
It's because of the experience with Walmart. I've never heard somebody say, I'm not shopping there because their logo is terrible.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Either they love them or they don't love them based on their experience with the company, but not what the logo looks like. In fact, again, like I said, I'm not sure how many people can actually tell you without looking what the logo actually even is.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they can identify it, they can recognize it, but
when they see it. Yeah. But just quick, draw me the logo or tell me what it looks like. Oh gosh, I don't know. Right.
It's the way the company makes them feel. So
yes.
Are there shoppers out there who would look at Target and Walmart and be like, oh, I'm definitely going to Target,
Sure.
or are they going to be like, oh, I'm definitely going to Walmart? There is something about the feeling with both of those brands that are affecting their purchasing decisions,
That's what I'm saying. Right. Right.
Go ahead.
Well, and just say again, I don't want anybody to hear me say that logos and colors don't matter, because of course they do.
Yeah.
But you can have the world's best logo on the planet, and if the experience you're giving people isn't good, your logo doesn't matter at all.
Right. Or, talking about that experience, I'm trying to think of other things here at the shop, because my employees, even my team, they're constantly like, how did you just do that? Like you turned around a customer that was cranky, or, you got a really great raving review. And again, it just comes back to how you're making those customers feel.
Yeah.
Like whenever I get an order from the UK, now, if you're from the UK and I get a ton of orders from overseas, I'm not going to be able to do this. All right. But like, sometimes I'll see that the shipping is like double what they even paid for the product, like pencils, for example. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they got to pay so much. It hurts me too. It hurts
Yeah.
me too. And I might send them an extra pack of pencils, be like, I hope this makes the long journey to you and that you enjoy it, or I messed up on an order and it wasn't bad, but I knew it could be better. And I was
Yeah.
like, what, am I just going to toss it out? What for? So I put a little note. I said, I made your order. It wasn't to my standards, but I didn't want to toss it out. Here's an extra one if you want to keep it,
Yeah.
And they'll leave me great reviews. They're like, I can't believe she did that. I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Just throw it in the trash? No,
Right.
make use of it. Maybe
Right.
there's a little chip or there's, I don't know, something, but it's still good.
It's so good. So
Mhm.
your first point is that your brand isn't just your logo, it's how people feel about your business. So
Yeah.
let me go on to the next one. And if you guys have any questions, by the way, in the chat, let us know, or some thoughts. We would
Actually,
love
I
to
do
share
see
them.
Diane. She's in the chat from A Wee Bit Southern, and she says the people lock onto my Scottish accent
Yeah.
as what makes me different living in the US. So I'm trying to be accepting of that, as I usually don't like to be different. But I always tell her, girl, lean into that, because
Oh,
it is like she starts talking and you're just like,
like let me just put that on. I agree 100%. I
you
mean,
know,
now maybe us Americans, maybe we're shallow and weird. I don't know, but I I love listening to people with accents. In fact,
all the time. It's like ear candy. I don't know how to describe it. And I love her brand. Her company name is really clever, A Wee Bit Southern. I just
I
love it
love
so
it.
much. So
I love it. Yes. And again, this is probably me being shallow, but in a positive way, if there's such a thing, is I just assume somebody with an accent is smarter than me. Doesn't make it necessarily make any sense, but I will say you've got an advantage that I don't have.
Mhm.
So lean into it, right? I mean, hey, fantastic. But we hear you. We absolutely hear you on that one.
Yeah,
So
and
let me,
these
yeah,
wait, I gotta touch on that too, because I
please
always
do.
talk about we often have these silencing thoughts that we
Yeah,
tell ourselves, I don't want to be different. But that's the very thing about you that is making you stand out.
yeah,
Embrace that. That is how you don't blend in, my friend.
yeah.
Don't be afraid to embrace
Mhm.
who and what you are. So,
That's so good. That's absolutely right. And just to jump off of that too is people will identify with that. Certain people will, and they'll be drawn to you because of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
another thing I often say, we attract what we are and we repel what we're not.
yeah,
Sometimes you might find that, let's say a video goes viral or something, a product
yeah,
goes viral, and you attract a lot of people because that initial experience is very attractive to everybody, right? But over time, if you're consistent, those will weed out because they were just there superficially, right?
yeah, yeah.
But over time, they'll know what your services are and how you make them feel, and you'll find your tribe, so to speak, or your following and customers, and repel those that are really not, your type of customer.
That's so good. Man, I could spend all day on each one of these. They're so good.
I
Uh,
know.
the second point that you gave us was this. I love this, that consistency beats trend hopping every time.
Mm,
We all feel the pull of trends, all of us do, and especially on social media because it's everywhere. Feels like everybody tends to be on the same train, doing the same thing. Why do you say that consistency is more powerful than trends?
because it compounds.
Mm,
100%. So, like, you don't want to be a one-hit wonder in your business, right? And I'm not saying don't hop on trends, because those can give you a nice little boost in momentum. And in our industry, a lot of people, we do a lot of gifts, and
yeah,
gifts have trends, whether you like it or not. It is part of the nature of the gift industry, you know. But what's more important is that you are consistent. Okay,
mm,
because consistency will compound over time. It's learning how to do those mundane things that don't seem, they seem insignificant in the moment, but over time they'll have a compounding effect. The same way with anything in life, the gym or your health. Like sure, I could have a burger today and it's not going to do anything to me. But if I have a big juicy greasy burger every day, it's going to compound over time and affect my health. And the same is true with your business. So yeah, that's why, like, try not to get too caught up in what's trending.
yeah,
If it makes sense for your business to hop on a trend, by all means go for it. but don't think that that's going to be your normal. Your normal is what's consistent. And what's consistent is going to compound over time to give you the kind of success you're looking for in your business.
Well, on that note, what are some mistakes you've seen businesses make, and how can we be better about those moments?
For me, a lot of it comes back to customer service. Do not let yourself get sucked into like small business forums or discussions on how to deal with a customer on Etsy. Sometimes I see the way that, especially small businesses, because small businesses take it too personal. Okay.
Oh,
They really do. And they'll fight tooth and nail for things that in the end are not worth it. And I get that it's harder in the beginning because it takes a lot of investment in your business. So when a customer doesn't like the product and then you start fighting with them to pay for shipping to send it back, like, your time is better served focusing on your next customer,
yeah.
But I think a lot of people should give more importance to their customer service. Read more books about customer service. If you feel like you're not doing well in that area, seek out what a great customer service experience feels like, because that's how you're going to lose customers. That's how you're going to devalue your brand. Don't get in fights back and forth with the customer. Like, honestly, people want an Amazon kind of experience. I didn't like it. I want to return it. I get some of our policies don't allow for returns, but don't sweat things too much. Like, are you going to let this person suck an hour or two fighting back and forth out of your life? Or would you rather go and try to find a new customer that is your ideal customer? We want to repel the bad and bring in the good. I try to get rid of the bad right away. Done. Bye. Okay. You're not happy. Done. Next.
This is maybe just a slight different angle on this question, but I want to ask it and see what your thoughts are. When your point is that consistency beats trend hopping every time.
Yeah.
The angle that jumps to my mind is that sometimes the hot trends are not authentic for you or your brand, and that you could jump on them, but they just have an odd fit for you. Like they just, I'm not talking about a moral thing or anything like that. I'm just talking about they're just kind of off brand for you.
Yeah.
And so like I let a lot of things go by because I go, man, Mark would try too hard to make that work. It's not, it doesn't work for me because I could design those things? Yeah, probably. But they're just kind of out there, or they're too much work for me. And I'd rather be consistent. Give me some feedback on that. Do you resonate with that?
All the time. All the time. Let's see. I'm thinking of some and it's so bad because I'm sure when people think of that moment, the laser, they might think of a brand that's maybe a little more square. So like during the holidays, there's a lot of
yes.
What's the word I'm looking for? There are a lot of products.
I know what word you're looking for. Yeah.
Huh?
I know what word you're looking for. Yes.
Yeah. And I always know I would make so much money if I would sell that, but it's just not on brand for me, and that's okay. I don't mind missing out on money because it doesn't fit. In the long run, is that something that I want to do every day, all the time? And I know that it's not, so it's totally okay not to jump. You jump on the trend that makes sense for your business if your business jumps on trends, Yeah. But again, don't force it, because this is how sorry, I don't mean to talk over you, Mark, but again, people know when it's not authentic. And if it doesn't feel right and if it doesn't fit, sure, you might make a quick buck, but you're just going to be a one-hit wonder. Whereas you were going to be more successful being consistent at what you're good at and what fits you and your brand.
That's so good. Tabitha, I want to ask you a question because I don't know that we've talked about this before. So nothing like having a unscripted question live here. This is great. So with your brand, Tabitha, we don't have to talk specifics necessarily, but I'm sure you've decided over time there are things you're going to do and things you aren't going to do. I'm assuming you bumped into that before. And
Yes.
Has that been a struggle for you?
I'd say the biggest struggle is probably the trend hopping. I'll get very excited about something new, maybe that Emily's making. I'm like, oh, that would be great. I'm going to do teacher gifts.
Yes.
And then I will sell one. And I had put all of this time and effort into that. And now I have all of this product just sitting on my shelf. and that's not what my customers are looking for. And I know what my
Mhm.
customers are looking for, but I get distracted.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or get distracted. You said teacher gifts, and I thought of Emily immediately. Like I totally did,
Yeah.
because you do such good work, and I mean this in a very complimentary way. When I say simple, I mean it's just right. Simple, and I have a tendency to overcomplicate a lot of things,
Mhm.
and so I look at the teacher gifts that you make, and there's been times where I go, yeah, that's probably just not Mark's wheelhouse. That's just not.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and kind of using the same analogy of me back in the day when I was learning how to do public speaking, uh, it'd be like that version of Mark doing teacher gifts, watching Emily do it, and then go, "Yeah, you you shouldn't do that. That's not your fit."
Well, you
You
know what else can be challenging also though, when you're in the laser industry, because a lot of us are gift shops. And
Yeah,
so part of the challenge as a shop is to constantly come up with things that are new, things that are different, things that are
yeah,
exciting. And so I can see how that can be a struggle sometimes because you might feel like you're all over the place. But if you're a gift shop, that's kind of what's
yeah,
expected in a gift shop, right? They want a little bit of everything. And so you are constantly thinking outside of the box. But again, it comes back to what feels right and authentic to the business that you are building, right? It's funny because my teammates, they'll come in and they're like, "Okay, Emily, I tried to put together some, I don't know, potential products or
yeah,
phrases, and I'll come in and I'll love it, but it doesn't fit the brand." And then I come in and I don't mean to. I'm like, I'm gonna tweak it a little bit,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and then it just ends up being a whole other thing. And that's just part of, again, knowing what you like and knowing what you don't like. But that also comes again back to laser businesses when you're making all the different things. It comes back to experiencing all the different things so that you can really know what feels right and what doesn't.
yeah. That's so good. There are so many. Some of you guys, president company included, know me a little better than just online. And to be fair, I'm pretty much the same person both places. But um, the joke in some of these smaller friend circles is, you guys have referred to me as Spicy Mark. I know Tabitha knows what I'm talking about. Is uh, is I'm pretty reserved most of the time in terms of my reactions to things, but
Mhm.
I will occasionally. You'll see a comment or something from me, and Tabitha will go, "Ooh, that was
Mm.
spicy, Mark." And for
Yeah.
anyone else, it wasn't spicy at all, like not at all. But they can tell the difference. And I use that analogy to talk about products too. Is every now and again there's one that's just kind of outside my circle just a little bit that may actually reflect me, but doesn't reflect the brand that I've made. So
Yeah.
just kind of going back to what you've said is sometimes it's not a great fit. I know when Tyler and I were designing a lot together, we go, "Oh my gosh, that is so funny," or so whatever, and we laughed and then going, "Huh, yeah, we can't do that. Like,
Yeah.
we can't do that. We think it's hilarious. We can't do it."
Yeah.
I won't mention what it is right now, but I remember years ago I bought a T-shirt that had a phrase on it that I thought was freaking hilarious, and then I realized that Pastor Mark can't wear that shirt,
Oh.
and I realized, yep, that was a waste of $20. I can't wear that shirt, so that kind of thing. So you just kind of learn what's authentic to you. So
Mhm.
I want to make sure we get to all these. Tabitha, you want to grab this last one that she has?
Sure. Yeah, the third point you gave us was the way you handle the problem is part
Mhm.
of your brand. And I think I jumped ahead with one of the questions I was asking
That's
earlier
okay.
on that. um, but yeah, that's when we talked about the customer service portion of it. Now, for me, I know that my brand is going to be very consistent. It's very, yes, I can, very helpful, very, very kind. But I
Mhm.
don't always feel that way as a person, and how
Mhm.
they're emailing me about a question or an issue. If it's overly direct, that doesn't fit well with my personality. So I will oftentimes take those questions and I'll run them through ChatGPT and say, help me
Yeah.
write a response in my brand, in my tone,
Yep.
make it kind but direct,
Mhm.
and help me solve this problem. And I know you've used ChatGPT for that as well, but I'm sure that you probably have some other tips for that.
That is probably the most powerful tool right now that is really helping things turn things around for people struggling with customer service. So I would definitely
Mhm.
say that if you were fighting a lot with your customers, um leverage ChatGPT, read customer service books. This is if you really genuinely have a desire to build a successful business and you want to build one with as much peace as you possibly can. If you look at the last month and ask yourself, how many back and forth issues have you had with customers? It really should not be a constant everyday thing. If that is true, you need to look inside and ask yourself, is it me or is it the customer? Okay. And, you know, I'm just being raw with you. You shouldn't have customer service problems that frequently. Okay. And you should be able to tackle them and keep moving and not be like traumatized by this one customer who did all of this. Well, is it one customer or are you having that happen several times? So I would say ChatGPT is, in my opinion, the best tool right now for helping small businesses handle customer service relations.
Can you be specific for a second? For people who haven't done that, let's say you're having an issue with a customer. Tell me an example of how you use ChatGPT to help you walk through that.
Oh my gosh, I use it all the time. Like on the spot, I'm trying to think of when was the last time I had.
Like if someone's, I'll make one up and then you can tell me how you'd handle it. So let's say that, I've seen this a lot. Let's say that somebody buys a product from you, whether it's happened to you or not. They bought a product from you when it arrived. Let's say that it didn't look the way they thought it was going to look. Like maybe they said, oh my gosh, that's not the colors I wanted, or I want a refund. This is and their attitude is, this is a piece of crap. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
How would you use ChatGPT to help you with that?
Well, you did just make me think of a scenario that I was able to,
go for it. Yeah.
Kind of fix. Like I had an order and the customer sent me all of the information that was supposed to go on the order. Okay. And before I shipped it out to her, I sent her a proof before I processed the order and I sent it off and she approved it. My proof was wrong. Okay. So the initial thing that she sent me had the correct verbiage, right? I made it. I asked her to approve it. She did not catch my mistake and she approved it. What do you do in that scenario? Because it's kind of my fault, but it's kind of her fault too. No. Okay. Customers want accountability. She's like, I'll pay for, she actually offered to repay to order it. Cause she's like, I approved your proof. And I said, no. You gave me the correct information the first time. I'm going to remake this product and send it out to you. I didn't have to do that. It was an expensive thing to do. Okay. But that also comes down to what is your customer service model? Like I'd rather replace it. Cause if it's ever just a little iffy, you know what I mean? I'm going to take accountability 100%,
Yep.
And it turned out wonderful. She was extremely appreciative that I didn't make her do that. And that I owned up to it because at the end of the day, it was still my mistake. You know what I mean?
And I know this seems obvious, but I want to say it because maybe some people need to hear it is, do you agree that a problem when handled correctly can actually turn someone into a loyal customer that maybe wasn't
so
before?
Many times.
And the odd thing is they became a loyal customer because you screwed something up.
Yeah. And it comes back to you tenfold because they're so impressed with the way that you handled it that they bring you even more business for sure. Kurt says, edit it and call it a hard lesson. Yeah, it's a hard lesson, but it's a human lesson. I
see what Pat said too. This is great. When I managed the store, my motto was, if you give great customer service, you'll have more customers to service. My customers notice that behavior. That's so good. That's so right.
Yep.
I heard a quote from Truett Cathy from Chick-fil-A. Oh my gosh, I'm going to mess this up. But he basically said, if we do better, they'll demand that we get bigger. And he's basically saying to just do all the things right and they will want us to become larger. But if you just want to become larger without doing things better, that doesn't work. And I think that's
actually his is one of the books I was going to recommend. And now I'm drawing a blank on the title, but I think it's called It's My Pleasure.
I think it is. Yeah.
And it's a book all about customer service. And if there's one, say what you will, if there's one thing that Chick-fil-A has down, it's customer service.
It really is.
you know.
And what's interesting about them is they're always trying something new to be better. And I will tell you, from having been an insider a little bit, they're occasionally, they don't hit home runs with all of them. Like they'll try something and go, that didn't work. But their goal, like I'll steal this from somebody else. One of the core values of a company that I really appreciate is make it better.
Mhm.
And their idea is that anything that you touch, can you just make it better? And by 1%, like it doesn't have to be
Yeah.
100. And whether it's if you're a retail place, if you're walking through your parking lot, there's trash, just pick up a piece while you're walking.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's not a huge deal, but it's 1% better. And I think that
Yeah.
attitude really helps us a lot. Is the way that we handle problems is part of our brand, is what you said. And I think that
Mhm.
just making it better, making the experience better. If you screw up an order, like you said, um, make it right, make it better. I
Yeah.
love that.
And talking about making it better and how everything's not always a home run. The law of averages also comes into play eventually. If you stay consistent, um, you keep in my scenario again. I'm a gift shop, so I'm constantly making new products, but not every new product is a home run, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the more new products I add to the pipeline, the more I can weed out the ones that don't sell well and the ones that do, right? And then
Yeah.
I can start to. I was talking to Samita from Welcome Home Homebound Custom, and
Yep.
she was talking about how if a product doesn't sell within like 30 days, they remove it from their site because it's taking up internet real estate. They just want the products that they know are going to move and sell. I was like, wow, I should do that because I have a lot of products that I just kind of leave up and then they don't get ordered. And then when they do get ordered, I'm like, oh, wait, I got to go find the file. And where's all the pieces to make this
Yeah.
thing? And it kind of slows me down. And I'm like, I should adopt that, and just keep on the site, on the, on the shop, the things that are selling well. But my point is, the more you create products and add them to your product line, you will find the ones that are home runs. Not everyone is going to be a home run, but the law of averages will, start to turn in your favor if you stay consistent with your product development. So, yesterday was a
Ooh.
nice day. Like I walked into the shop, it was Monday, and all of our best-selling products were, I don't know, I got a boost in my shop and all of the best-selling products were there. So like I know over time, pencils are something I can always depend on in my shop. Lunch boxes are something I can always depend on in my shop. Journals I can always depend on. Earrings. But that was a lot of trial and error of things that, I wanted to sell but didn't move, and so on. So consistency, my friends, in everything you do.
Oh my goodness. Can I just say, if I was going to pick one thing for this whole talk that hit me, that was it right there. You know how sometimes you maybe have heard an idea before, but maybe it was just said differently, or maybe
Mhm.
said by somebody else, or said, I feel like I've known this, but I've not known it until this moment when you said it. So
Mhm.
oh my gosh, this is happening in real time right in front of everybody.
Okay.
My, I've taken pride in having hundreds of designs in my shop, and I know why I took pride on that. But now I'm realizing that my best items are getting buried by the
Mhm.
not best items, and people aren't able to find the best items because they're buried in the things that are not the best.
Yeah. I know. Ever since I had that conversation with her, it's like I need to sit down and audit my own shop, even the digital files. Like it's just cluttering my
I,
internet real estate for my site, you know? Um,
yeah,
so
I mean,
why?
I just had somebody, I'm working on some updates for my website, and somebody asked me, "Hey, would you like to remove anything?" And I'm going to be honest, if you know who you are, if you're watching, this is a public apology right here. I said, "Why would I want? No, I don't want to remove anything. This is what they were thinking about." That is so good. All right,
Mhm.
sweet. I love that. That is so good.
It's
Tabitha,
it's
any
it's
other?
always to
Yeah,
me. Oh, sorry. Just when we're talking about websites and things like that,
yeah,
um, I am always thinking about that as internet real estate.
yeah.
Where McDonald's, they're known for having the best real estate when they are going to build a shop. What does the internet real estate look like on your site or sales page or wherever you're
Yeah.
driving your traffic to? So
That's really good. Tabitha, before we kind of close up, I wanted to ask you a question on this particular topic, because I know this is something that you hinted at it a minute ago. When you're thinking about the way that you handle problems being part of your brand, Tabitha, and you mentioned using Chat GPT,
mhm.
talk to us a little bit, because I know you, but I don't want to assume that everybody else does too. I think you use it to help you say what you know you want and need to say, but it doesn't maybe flow naturally. Can you talk about how you use it for a second when it comes to handling problems and staying on brand for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the more I use ChatGPT, the more it understands my tone. And so if I just ask it a basic, like, can you respond to this problem? And here's the solution I want. I'm going to get a very basic solution to it. But when I give more specific prompt to say, can you respond to this in my tone with kindness, but direct, which I'm not
Yeah.
very good at being direct unless I'm being overly direct. And then it comes across just kind of rude. Um, then that very specific prompt, I will get a much better solution to it, and I'll just copy and paste that. Typically, I don't have to do a lot of editing, but like I said, the more I use ChatGPT, the more it understands what it should sound like, and it's actually solved a lot of problems without causing any fights. And sometimes it will kind of actually divert. I'm thinking I'm going left and it's telling me to go right. I'm like, okay, I'm going to trust you on this because I think you
Yeah.
know this one a little bit better, and it hasn't steered me wrong yet.
That's so good. I think one of the many reasons why that's a great tool, two things. My thought is, one, um, it's not in a bad mood when you are. Like I know
Hmm.
for me, sometimes when if it's late at night or I'm really tired, I should not be responding quickly. That's a bad
Yeah.
time for me. Or if my blood sugar's low or high, usually high. But if something's going on, if I haven't eaten lately, and you
Hmm.
catch Mark, I'll say things that are a lot more sharp than I should. And so sometimes using a tool, whether it's Chat GPT or something else, it doesn't matter. I think that using a tool to help your brand voice stay the way that you want it when you're on your best day, so that
Hmm.
when you
Hmm.
are not on your best day, it still sounds the same. And then also
Yes.
combined with that is and of course, some of these are unique, right? But Emily, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Is if you have something that comes up on a regular basis, you can maybe script something that you could save in a note or save in a document or something and just pull it back again over and over, because what you want is you want to be consistent with your tone and your answer, even if you personally are not consistent at this moment,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
For
And
example, if you communicate with your customers with email a lot, I love saving email templates in Google,
yeah,
in my Gmail. Like there are templates for a bunch of different things. A lot of them are customer service related. For example, with the photos, sometimes people will send me photo. I say it in the listing. I tell you I need a high resolution photo,
yes,
but they're still going
yep,
to send me a photo that isn't really well. So how do I very kindly tell them what an adorable pup I'll do my best with this photo, but would it be possible for you to give me a few more options that have a higher resolution because I want to give you, the best
yeah.
optimal product possible. So whatever, I have that nicely worded, and I have it saved as a template in my email so that when I get those photos, I'm like, and then I'm also being efficient with my business. It's my consistent brand voice, and I don't know how you do that with Messenger. If there, I wish you that wouldn't that be nice if
Just save it in
Messenger,
your notes.
yeah, there's if
Yeah.
they could save templates the way you could in email. But just a tip there, if you do communicate with email a lot, you can create templates that you can just reuse that.
And
Hi,
and
Blake.
one of the things that hey Blake, good to see you, my friend. One of the things that I do that I'm gonna do a little video on this in a little bit. It's a short, but kind of two parts. I have learned that in writing, and I'm specifically talking about writing, extra words tend to help. And here's what I mean by that. Kind of like the compliment sandwich kind of idea, but in
Mm-hmm.
writing is if I will do a couple extra words like, thank you so much for asking me that question. I think that's really important. And then I answer the question. I go, again, I appreciate your time. I know that took a minute for you to do that. Thank you for spending the time to ask me that. And if I put those two extra things in my own words in the beginning and the end, instead of just simply jumping to a solution, that tone, and honestly, as a 56-year-old man, I sometimes think about emojis and being not as young, but I also realize that if I want people to hear the tone that I mean,
Mm-hmm.
extra words tend to help, and
Yes.
as opposed to being short and to the point. And in person, that doesn't necessarily matter because you can see my face. But when
Mm-hmm.
you can't see my face, I really put extra words. And those of you guys who've interacted with me, you'll see that a lot. I will say, it's so great to connect with you! Exclamation point, smiley face. and
Yeah.
then end with and I found that those extra words tend to make it feel the way I intend it to feel.
I'm so glad you bring that up because was it you, Tabitha? You asked me earlier, what are some mistakes that you see a lot of new business people? Okay, here's the thing. In today's world, a lot of us are doing business on the internet and online. And I've come to learn after running a business online so much that a lot of times people don't realize how much their grammar and communication online is not doing them justice at all. And
Yes.
I think that's a hard thing to even know because you don't even know sometimes. But something as simple as not having a capital letter where it's supposed to be or a period to stop the sentence can totally ruin an experience for a customer. So if you're finding that you're having communication issues, again, this is something I would lean on something like ChatGPT to help you with, so that you can maybe kind of figure out what you can improve your communication with your customers. Christy's asking, does ChatGPT seem to be the best AI tool? I don't know if it's the best. It's so new to all of us, and there's so many out there to explore. I can personally say that I find that ChatGPT is simple and easy enough to use, and free or very affordable if you're just paying for the $20 a month version. So yeah, just a tip there. If you find that you're struggling with communication, I would lean on a source like ChatGPT to help you communicate better with your customers through a screen. Okay, they can't see your face, they can't hear your tone, and that's what both Tabitha and Mark are talking about. I personally, do any of you know that you can just voice talks to your chat? I never sit and text or type. It's just I chat all day long, and then it really feels like it's me because it is everything I said. It's just nice and clean,
And there's two slight versions of that. There's the one, there's the microphone that you can push that you can talk there.
Yes.
And then also when you're typing, you also have the microphone that's voice to text in your actual app. They kind of have the same results, but either one works. So kind of to Christy's point more, Christy, I would love to hear both of you on this one. I think that my experience has been that if I'm looking for words to talk back to a customer, I think that ChatGPT works about as well as any of them. If I'm looking for image generation or video or more in the creative realm, it may not be the best at times. So I guess the answer, Christy, would be it depends on what you're needing. And then also, I would say with the free version especially, try it out. And if you're liking the results, stick with it. If you're frustrated with the results, try something else. I know that sounds simple. What do you both think on that?
I like simple.
Yeah.
Simple is good. Kurt's saying he agrees that younger people don't talk or vocally communicate since texting and shortcuts are a norm. It's true, but it's funny that your first thought went to younger people. I actually was thinking of older people. At least say for example, I'm always on Facebook. I don't know. I feel like it's actually a lot of adults or older adults that they're not from that generation. So they don't know how to they don't know when to put the emoji to make you feel the tone, So it's very bland and it's very dry. And that may not be how they're saying it, but across the screen, it's not coming across the right way, So it's across the board, Kurt. They're young, all ages, I'm just saying, if you're noticing that you're having communication issues with your customers regularly, lean on a tool like AI to help you improve.
Well, and let me maybe tie a bow on that one, and we'll go to our closing because I know I want to give you a chance to speak to some people directly. This is a hard thing to say and definitely a hard thing to do, but I'll say it is, if we're having trouble with customers regularly, I'm not talking about one-offs because you're always going to have one-offs. Those are never going away, right? I heard Horst Schulze, I think his name is. He was the CEO of the Ritz-Carlton hotels, and he said there's always the 1% jerk factor. when he was talking about that the customer's always right. And he goes, no, they aren't. They're not always right. There's 1% who are never going to be happy under any circumstances. They're not right. But you're never getting away from those people. But if you're having regular frustrations with customers, deep breath and say, what part of that is me?
Right.
Because it's easy to say this guy's a jerk, this person's not being reasonable, and maybe they aren't. But is there anything that I can do different to make that either have not happened in the first place or result in somewhere different? And to kind of your current point is sometimes the language I use, you just kind of want to basically take away excuses. I want to remove excuses so that they have a great experience. And if my grammar isn't working, I could say, well, stop being, I need to come up with a different phrase than the one I was going to use for grammar people who don't like things. But instead of saying, hey, you shouldn't worry about my grammar, it's better if I just fix it so that it's one less distraction.
Yeah.
You follow what I mean? Because I don't get to tell them not to be irritated. That's they do it or don't. Or I struggle sometimes when I see, like you said capitalization and periods and stuff, right? And I know that I fixate on that more than I should. I totally know that. I judge people when I shouldn't. I know I do it. I want to be better. And I don't say I'm working on it. I say I want to work on it. But in the end, you leave me with an impression. And as the business owner, you could change that impression by simply making that better. And then nobody would notice. So that's one thing to just think about, that it's within our control.
Yeah, I say it all the time. Just I hear it in the back of my head because I probably have said it every time I've been at next level, but I always quote Jim Rohn: "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." Oh,
it's so good, so good. I love it. So we're running out of time, so I want to give you.
But you made me think of one more thing I want to share.
Go for it. Okay. Yeah.
So again, with the communication thing, I can't tell you how many times over the years. So a lot of us were communicating with our customers on Messenger, on Instagram. TikTok doesn't let me do this. It's another reason I don't like TikTok Messenger. But sometimes if you have the courage, a quick voice note can go a long way also. Yes. Okay. Yes. When people can hear your voice when it comes to anything. I'll give you a quick example. A few years ago, I cut this huge, massive werewolf, and I thought it was the coolest thing. I purchased the influencer's werewolf, okay, but it wasn't a laser file. It was like a file for a different type of machine. So I traced it, but I had paid for it, so I traced it, and then I made out this big cutout, and I tagged the person, and I thought they were going to be like, oh, this is so cool. They're going to bring me new customers for my file. No. The influencer was very angry and very upset with everything. So I just, instead of like texting back and forth, I was like, I don't have her phone number. I sent her a voice message, and I was saying, I genuinely, this was not my intention. I was trying to show you respect and all these things, and I'm sorry. And I took it down. That was it. End of discussion. And now she's like my bestie. She's like, she could not believe that I was that honest and forward and quick about the matter. And sometimes people really appreciate. Emily is the queen of voice notes. I am.
You are.
I just think it's more efficient. I think it's more efficient, and it's more like people can really hear who I am and where I'm coming from.
Well, and I just want to piggyback on that, because the point you're making, I completely agree with, is when the efficiency is one thing, but when you want to be heard the way you intend, oh my goodness, you're right. In fact, I won't say, I know that voice messages are not for everybody. We all get it. We understand. But in those times, consider it, because it might be great. And I feel like I've been told to do this. I'm just not being obedient. Everybody knows what that's like. But a lot of times I feel like sending them a quick video. And I don't know if I've done it to either one of you. I may have, but
you have.
But have I? Okay. But I'm not talking about a 20-minute video. I'm talking about a 15, 20, 30-second video where you can see my face if that's appropriate, right? You got to know your timing. But sometimes when you can see my face, and if I'm apologizing, which I hate that I have to do that very often because that means I'm screwing things up. But if you can just hear my voice and see my face, it just goes so much further. And I've sent people videos to encourage them, because sometimes a text is great, but seeing my face and hearing my voice is even better. So if that is something you can do, I think that's great. And it definitely says a lot about your brand. It even goes further than that. It says a lot about you to take that time.
Yeah,
love
I think customers are often like taken aback. They're like, "Oh, wow, like she sent me a voice note." Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
I love that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's really easy to ask yourself this, but if you were in the other shoes, how would you feel? And, most of the time I'd be like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Thank you for doing that. So that's really good. I want to try to, oh my gosh, I hate cutting this off because it's so good. But let's just do this to kind of transition for our closing out.
Okay.
I'm going to read your title for your talk at the conference because I think it's so good. And I want to ask you a question. So your title is this: From Invisible to Replaceable, Building a Personal Brand in a Saturated Market. And
It's
if
irreplaceable.
somebody who's watching right now feels invisible, they feel like nobody sees them. Emily, if you want to just look them right in the face right now, what would you say to someone who feels invisible? How would you encourage them right now?
I would tell them to focus on connection and not perfection. You're comparing yourself and you're looking at everybody else. That's not where you're going to find what you're looking for. Focus on connecting with the customers that you're getting, with the people that are resonating with your products, and let that bring you business. And, it will help you reap the harvest later on. So that's my takeaway. Build connection, focus on connection, not perfection. And you'll find that if you do that consistently over time, it's going to compound for you in the best way.
That is so good. What a great way to close here. Hey, Tabitha, before we go, would you just tell, and you've been to, let me see, have you been to all the conferences so far? You were all three, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were. I know you're an insider now, but you were not always been an insider. What's one or two things that you have really enjoyed from all the conferences that if someone's not been to one that they might look forward to? What's something you've enjoyed?
Oh, the connections are definitely number one. I'm more of an introvert myself. I will put myself out there during the conference, and I'm so glad that I do. Actually, at this point, I kind of seek out those introverts hiding in corners. So if I see you sitting by yourself, I'll probably find you. Don't worry, I'm not scary. I'm going to connect you with somebody else and make sure you're not eating by yourself. But yeah, definitely the connections that you make sitting down with people at lunch. Those are going to be the times where these are the people that get you, the people that you can talk to about the latest lasers or business problems, that will understand. I mean, there's a lot of different businesses out there. You could talk to different industry business owners, but they won't understand and connect on the same way that fellow laser owners will understand.
Yep.
So I'd say the connections are definitely number one. But number two is meeting all the vendors.
Yeah.
And all the speakers, because the speakers, you think about these amazing people that've got everything put together and they're teaching from behind a screen all the time and they know it all. And, we can just learn from them. But meeting them in real life, you realize they're all real people that have been where you are, and they can teach you how to get to where they are. Yes, exactly. Emily right there is a great example of that. But also all of our vendors, we tend to go shopping online and it kind of feels like an Amazon experience. But when you talk to these vendors and you realize the why they're there and how they got started and where they're going, and the fact that, you can have that personal connection with even the vendors, it's amazing. Just that you start getting that brand loyalty, you get excited about your next acrylic order.
Man. And I'm going to speak for Emily on this one because I've watched her do this. Emily, you're an amazing leader in our community. And I love your influence. But being in the room with you is a different thing, and I love it. And you are so relatable. And I watched you last year just pour yourself out and honestly wear yourself out in a good way. but I've watched you just talk to person after person after person after person. That line of people was crazy. It was awesome. I loved it. It was so good. But I just want to just use Emily as an example of the people who are going to be there. Is if there's people that you've never met that you want to meet, I'll tell you, everybody here is reachable and touchable and relatable. And I think that's the greatest thing. And I'm looking forward to wearing myself out, spending time with people.
Same.
I can go for 3 days without much sleep. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But it's going to be great. And I think that connection, Emily, what's your favorite thing about events like this?
Oh, it's everything you just said. I know you said like, I don't mean to overwork myself, but again, I am constantly behind a screen.
Yeah.
And it is the most rewarding experience, and the most fulfilling experience to meet those of you that are commenting on my videos on YouTube, that are commenting on my TikToks, or connecting with me in Facebook. It's just a very special experience for me to get to see your face and hear your voice and meet you. So if there's anything, do not let me hear that you were at the conference and wanted to say hello, but were too afraid to come up, or whatever the excuse is. If I'm at the conference and I hear so-and-so wanted to say hi, but they were too shy, I will hunt you down.
Yes.
That's I am not. And I say this with the most love, but I tell people like Tabitha and Mark, and I tell my friends, I'm not there to see you. I talk to you all the time.
Yes.
I love you, but I am here to meet the people that I don't get to see every day, or don't get to talk to every day. And that for me is the best experience. You build so many connections. I get inspired by your stories. I love hearing what you guys are doing in your corner of the laser universe. And it's very inspiring. We inspire each other. And that's one of the best things about going to events like this. There's a lot involved, but I will tell you this, a lot of us want to be winning. We need to surround ourselves by winners. And guess what? Guess who's at the conference?
A bunch
People
of winners.
who are winning. Okay.
And I will say, I want more selfies. I want to get pictures with everybody. So please interrupt me and get a picture with me. I would love it. And I know everybody else would too. I'll speak for myself. Let me see if everybody else agrees. My favorite thing is to slow down and talk to you. And I don't necessarily do it naturally, like when I'm focused on something, but I always regret when I don't. And so definitely tug on my sleeve or say hi. Stop me. If I look busy, interrupt me anyway. Because I actually would rather talk to you than whatever it is I'm probably be focused on. So it's just, we're looking forward to that so much. Thank you, Janet. I'm glad that this inspired you. It's great. I don't know if you saw, Emily, if you saw Mikey's comment just a second ago, but meeting Emily was such a highlight for us last year. So
stop it.
Yeah,
it was a highlight for me too. I mean, could you guys not tell how inspired I was? But I mean, I just fell in love with them. Oh my gosh. So if you haven't if you haven't met Mikey and his husband Jordan, you guys are in for a treat. They're great.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to listen to your lesson.
So we've got 22 different breakout classes you can choose from. 22. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. That was a lot. We got 22 you can pick from when you come there. If you have a ticket, you're going to get a video of all of them. So you can't go to all of them, but even the ones you do go to, you'll get a video of all of them to watch later after the event. We've got several keynote speakers, including Emily. We've got great vendors in the vendor room. It's going to be a great time. The venue itself, the Gaylord Texan, is incredible. So it's just going to be great. If you can make it, we would love to have you. It's been scrolling this entire time down there, but you can get more information at nextlevellaserevents.com. But everybody, I know we can't hear everybody when you do this, but everybody give Emily a hand. Thank you very much for this time. It has been great. We've loved it. And it's just going to be fantastic to see everybody in person. If you missed most of this or all of it, you can watch it on demand later. If you have questions, drop it in the chat and we'll do our best to still answer, because we still get notified when you do. And we would love to help you grow in whatever way we can. Everybody have a great rest of your Tuesday. Tabitha, thank you. Emily, thank you. You guys stay on. The rest of you guys, we will see you in the groups. Oh, I'm going to throw this on one more time. If you haven't already, you need to go to thatmomwiththelaser.co and get connected with Emily. There's links all the way at the bottom in the footer, and you can see all of her socials and everything down there. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, everybody. We will see you in the groups. You guys hang around and we will talk in just a minute. Have a great one. Thank you for being with us.
Guys, bye.